After this week, the split in the Republican Party is growing. Almost every Republican I talked to this week was obsessed with this question. Goes to what Astead was just talking about. What is the path forward for the party? The GOP divisions will be on full display on Inauguration Day. Vice President Pence is going. President Trump is not. My sources tell me that tensions inside the GOP are as high as it gets and that Trump is furious at Vice President Pence and congressional Republicans. Nancy, you've been reporting on this all week. What is going on inside the GOP?
Well, there's a lot of finger pointing, to put it lightly. A number of Republicans kind of outright turning on some of the individuals who really led the charge this week to vote against the Electoral College results, to challenge them. They were accused of selling their supporters and President Trump's supporters on this fantasy that perhaps he had won the election after all, that there was massive voter fraud, that the election could be overturned. And they are really coming under withering attack, not just from some of their colleagues here on Capitol Hill. Some Democrats have directly called on individuals like Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley to resign, but from the business world, Hawley lost a book deal, and even from some of their Republican mentors. We have seen a lot of Republicans sort of come out and say that they're very concerned with what the president has said. I haven't heard too many Republicans come out and say that they themselves wish that they could take some of the things they had done or said back, that they wish that perhaps they hadn't joined this movement to try to challenge the Electoral College results. So, you know, a lot of finger pointing, but not a lot of soul searching, I'd say, just yet.
Soul searching. Phil, there has been a lot of soul searching since President Trump got into office. We've covered him together. We've seen his false allegations, his false information. Talk to me a little bit about what you reported this week, which is that President Trump was raging uncontrollably about perceived acts of betrayal. And President Trump, in some ways, never really trusted establishment Republicans. What are you hearing?
He never did, Yamiche. Part of his whole political brand has been that he's the victim, right? That the elites, the people who are in power in Washington, but also in the business world in New York, that they were out to get him, and that he was an outsider. That's how he developed so much support out around the country, how he got elected president. But what he's seeing right now is it's all coming home to roost in these final couple of weeks. He is losing support. He's losing members of his cabinet. He's losing members of his staff, but he's also losing allies on Capitol Hill. Senator Lindsey Graham, one of his closest friends, golfing partners, fiercest defenders in the Senate over these last 4 years, basically said, it was an interesting ride, but it's over. I'm done with Trump. I'm moving on. Senate Leader Mitch McConnell has told other senators, according to our reporting, that he does not intend to ever speak to Donald Trump again. The two have been estranged these last few weeks, not been on speaking terms, but McConnell's finished. And his wife, Elaine Chao, the transportation secretary, she resigned on Thursday. And I think we're going to continue to see this. We just in the last hour or two saw that Lisa Murkowski, the Republican senator from Alaska, has said that she's done with Trump. She thinks he needs to leave office right away. And we very well could start hearing from some more in the days and hours to come.
Phil's talking about that strained relationship between President Trump and congressional and congressional Republicans. Jake, you wrote in Punchbowl News this week that Kevin McCarthy and President Trump got into a screaming match. Is this bond between President Trump and congressional Republicans, and even maybe the vice president, is it broken?
You know, the transaction that they had relied on for many years to kind of smooth over, at least internally, their relationship, or in their minds, their relationship, that transaction is up. That transaction was put up with kind of disgusting behavior and behavior that we really can't stomach in exchange for conservative judges and conservative policies and things of that nature. That's up, right? Donald Trump is going to be president for another couple days, and then he's gone. So I think the incentive structure has changed. Now, Kevin McCarthy, the top Republican in the House of Representatives, has a bit different of a calculus. He wants to win the majority back. He believes there's a lot of people in his conference, Republican members of the House, who are from districts that Donald Trump is very popular in and who frankly support Donald Trump. And he doesn't want to get crosswise with them. But a lot of people would argue, and I think this is a fair argument to make, that the reason that his rank and file is supportive of Donald Trump is because they have no alternative. If McCarthy doesn't split with Trump, then they don't split with Trump, and McCarthy thinks he's not splitting with Trump because they're still with Trump. So it's a complicated situation, but I think everyone's right here, which is Republicans are they're tired of him, and this was the final straw.
Just 2 weeks before the inauguration came these deadly events. President-elect Joe Biden has condemned this week. On Thursday, Biden said this.
No one can tell me that if had been a group of Black Lives Matter protesting yesterday, they wouldn't have been treated very, very differently than the mob of thugs that stormed the Capitol. We all know that's true. And it is unacceptable, totally unacceptable.
Now in both the House and the Senate, Democrats have control. That comes after Democrats Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock won the Georgia Senate races. That would have been our top story this week in any other week. Instead, President-elect Joe Biden is talking about unity and healing the soul of the nation. Will it work after all that we have witnessed?
You know, this is a real core belief of Joe Biden. This is something that is not just a kind of political move from him, but it's how he kind of sees and understands the universe and has understood his kind of negotiating of Washington in his decades in the Senate. And so this is something that is going to be around and has frustrated some. You know, I've talked to people who are in those meetings with him in the transition who are trying to get him to budge, to embrace kind of unilateral executive orders, to prioritize things like combating racial injustice or other issues over the idea of bipartisanship and kind of Washington civility. But Joe Biden has responded to them in those meetings saying he is certain that there is going to be a break from kind of Trumpism among Republicans and that he is going to hold on to that belief. That is something that we're going to just have to see where that goes in the next couple of months. Is this a movement where he is going to be able to really see that? But, you know, Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock served him a big step on that front because he does not have to deal with a Mitch McConnell Senate anymore. The question is whether he will be so concerned with kind of healing hearts and minds that or will there be a focus on kind of the policy change that can happen? Because whether congressional Republicans break with Trump or not, what we know is that the base has been with him, and the American people on the conservative side have still been motivated by him. I don't know if that's something that Joe Biden can heal in rhetoric, but that is something that he can target in terms of policy.
We only have about 10 seconds left, but Phil, I want to just go to you. What do you make of just what things look like now with the GOP at one point wanting to look at President Trump for midterms? Just 10 seconds left.
You know, Yamiche, we're really going to have to see because this is such an evolving story, but I wouldn't count Trump out. We've seen through history that politicians can disappear for a while and have a resurgence later. So, you know, we'll see.